My next guest is the president and CEO of the Pacific Research Institute. She's a frequent guest on the Larry Elder Show. Please welcome back Sally Pipes. All right, Sally.
Hi.
How are you?
Well, I'm kind of frustrated, but I'm still going strong, still fighting the fight, as you are.
Well, let's talk about your frustration. We now have another a ReStayAtHome Order issued by the governor of California. What's your take on that?
Well, I find it extremely frustrating, Larry, because the economy is in a free fall, and so many young people that are starting their careers, working, and also middle-aged people, middle-income people as well, are now having to go back on unemployment. Some of these people are people who have time to go out and protest, but it's causing us, the American people and people in California, to think we're an entitlement society, and so we're all going to be facing huge tax increases, and the numbers just aren't there. I mean, I heard Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, just yesterday say that he might have to even have further lockdowns, shutting things down. They've shut down, they've re-shut down, in restaurant dining, the gyms, the hair salons, all of these things. And it's absolutely ridiculous when you look at the number of deaths around the country and in California. 80% of the people who've died from COVID are 65 plus, and 45% of the people who've died have been people in nursing homes. So only 3% of COVID deaths are people 25 to 44. I'm not in that age bracket anymore. I mean, they've just taken this. It's become sort of public health officials, elected officials, Larry, and they're going against economists and people who, like ourselves, who are sensible and destroying this economy. They want the progressive left to take over California and our society.
Sally Pipes, there was a piece in the Wall Street Journal this morning about school closings, and it pointed out that according to the CDC, so far there have been 30 people, 30 kids under the age of 15 who've died because of coronavirus, 30. In a typical flu season, there are 190, 15 or under, who died from the normal flu.
Well, exactly, and I mean, in Orange County, the supervisor, the people in the education board have voted 4-1 that they're going to reopen their schools. We cannot, have the schools continue to close down. So many families don't have options to get the very best, in distance learning material. Look, if you look at Germany, look at Denmark. These countries opened up their schools, and has there been a major catastrophe? No. We've got to get an educated workforce if we're going to compete in the global economy going forward. And these moves are just terrible. Only 2% of the COVID cases in this country are people under the age of 18. So let's get the teachers back. But, of course, the teachers' union, Larry, is very much against this. It's probably easier for them to not have to go to the classroom and get paid. But we need our young people to get a good education. USC is now not going to have any, in-class learning this fall. Cal State, the same. We're probably going to see more of the colleges. Harvard is not having any classroom teaching this fall. This is absolutely, it's just so devastating. It shows me that the progressives, we've got a big election coming up on November 3rd. The progressives have really, got a grip, and we have to fight this tooth and nail, because it's going to be the demise of our great nation.
My guest is Sally Pipes. She is the president and CEO of the Pacific Research Institute. Sally, you mentioned the progressives. I want to talk a little bit about that. Half of the country, where they hear our conversation, would be nodding up and down, yes. Half the country would be shaking their head, no. The part of the country that's shaking their head, no, is it politics, Sally Pipes, or is it just wrong-headedness?
Well, I think a lot of it is politics, because the mainstream media and politicians on the left, and particularly the Alexandria Ocasio-Cortezes of the world, have really, been out there. They're everywhere on the mainstream media, whether it's CNBC, MSNBC, these stations, causing great fear among people and telling people that, they are going to solve the economy. Free education will be free, healthcare will be free. These things are all human rights. They're not human rights. And the thing is that if the government takes over it all, we will all have come down to a lower level. So I think it's politics. I think they've got a mission. And I'm wondering, increasingly, as I saw today, that the curator of the San Francisco Museum of Modern Art quit because he'd been purchasing art that was done, being painted or sculpted by white men. I mean, is there going to be a backlash against all of these protests? The fact that Fifth Avenue, in front of the Trump Tower, but also in front of Tiffany's and the Gucci shop, is painted Black Lives Matter in yellow and black. I think there could be a backlash, because at some point people have to say, this just isn't right, and our country is being destroyed. Young people, such a high percentage of young people today are saying they like this progressive stuff, but they've been inundated with it. And if they're in school, in college, even if you send your child to a very expensive private school, these schools are focusing on, social justice, racial justice, environmental justice. I mean, where is this going to end? We've got to, we're putting our finger in the dike, Larry, but we have to do so much more.
My guest is Sally Pipes, President and CEO of Pacific Research Institute. Sally, we only have about a minute left. Let me ask you the same question a different way. I know that Rahm Emanuel says we should not let a crisis go to waste, and I recently heard Hillary say the same thing. So there's no doubt in my mind that people on the left are using this coronavirus pandemic to advance their interests. I don't doubt that at all. I guess what I'm asking you is, do you believe that they are completely insincere when they're concerned about kids contracting the coronavirus, when they say they're concerned about teachers contracting it, when they say they're concerned about society contracting it if we go back to work? Are you telling me, in your opinion, all of them are lying about this?
Well, I think they have an agenda, and so they certainly aren't listening to the scientists who, there's so much work, even from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, saying teachers should be going back to work. They can practice, there can be social distancing, all of these things. But, in the interest of our society, in the interest of getting an educated population,
we're going to have to leave it there. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, Sally Pipes. Really do appreciate it.
Okay, thanks, Larry. Bye.
Bye.